Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another game of Starcraft 2. My name is Jethro, and we're going to be looking at a PvZ on Star Station. Except this time, instead of me versus DJ Wheat, we have two pros going at it. Because, spawning up at the top left-hand corner, playing as the red Zerg player, it is Destiny. And then, spawning in the northeastern corner, he is the blue Protoss player, and he is WhiteRa. So, we are on Star Station, and as we saw in my last video, this is a map on which you can forge fast expand, have a relatively tight choke here, and as a result, we will see WhiteRa do that, throwing down that pylon on 9, of course. Destiny sending out the Overlord in the wrong direction. How unfortunate for him. I do expect, partially because of the map, partially because this is still the beta, that we will see a fast expansion. A lot of people on the ladder just playing very, very greedily, trying to get to those end game situations during which you can get those new units. The new units for Protoss, of course, mostly being end game, the Tempest, very, very end game, and then Zerg as well, requiring Lair and Hive for their new units. So, I do expect some macro here from these players today. Although the pool does go down, it will not be hatch first. A little bit of harassment here by WhiteRa, of course. Just want to make Destiny work for those minerals, don't want to let him get them for free. WhiteRa should be careful though, as of course the drone does beat the probe in that battle. That certainly has not changed from Wings of Liberty. WhiteRa sending down the probe for a Nexus first, as I expected, playing quite greedily, knowing that he will be safe to do so. Little bit of probe harassment continues, trying to deny this hatchery for as long as possible. I do expect... Ooh, pylon does go down. You don't always see that with a Nexus first. Sometimes Protoss players don't like to commit those minerals, having already gotten their Nexus before their opponent's hatchery. But Destiny gonna go ahead and... never mind, I thought he was gonna throw down the hatch at the third, but it looks like he wants this natural position. 4 lings as well as a queen on the way, spending that money on other things as best he can. But he's gonna need those lings if he's gonna get this hatch down, and to be honest, this is a bit concerning. See, WhiteRa's Nexus already about 3/4 of the way done, and Destiny still refusing to take this third position, wanting to get his hatchery here. And throwing down a gas at the same time, so WhiteRa a little bit ahead right off the break here if you had to ask me, but certainly nothing that Destiny cannot overcome, as he does throw down the immediate third at the 4-minute 12-second mark. And having done that, I continue to question why he didn't just go there in the first place, but who knows. Couple lings moving their way across the map now. Gonna go ahead and scout this out. They're gonna see the cybernetics core has just gone down. WhiteRa choosing to wall in a manner such that a zealot will be necessary for a full wall off, but of course won't have to kill off any of his buildings to eventually escape. Chrono boosting out his workers like a good Protoss should when he forge fast expands. Want to use up all that energy, of course, and get as much of an economic edge as you can. I would not be surprised to see a +1 attack started relatively soon as well. Although, certainly not necessary, depending on what sort of attack he wants to go for, or, you know, what tech path he's going for as well, of course. And the Robo goes down. Will get scouted by Destiny almost immediately. Back in the Zerg base, we see that speed has begun, and he's keeping all 3 of those workers in gas. So, not done teching quite yet. Zealot fighting off the Ling for a little bit of map control. This Zelnaga Watchtower, very, very pivotal on this map with these positions. It covers certainly the most direct attack path. If you do want to go down around this tower, you see you can't just cut over, you have to go all the way down around. And that takes a very long time. Lair has begun for Destiny. Lair, of course, going to allow him to get that infestation pit if he so chooses, and then the new swarm host unit, which has been very effective thus far in the beta. The locusts that they spawn doing tons of damage, and being a very effective unit at simply maintaining control of positions. In my own experiences on the ladder, it has been very, very difficult to push past swarm hosts to get to any sort of Zerg base or anything like that they are defending. Zealot giving it his all, but succumbs to the Zergling forces, of course. +1 about 3/4 of the way done. Immortals being spawned out as well. Perhaps going for a simple Immortal sentry push with those ground upgrades could be very effective, despite this not being Wings of Liberty, of course. The early game not changing that much. These pushes still very, very scary. Yep, and the gateways go down. But a Spire for Destiny, I'm not sure where it is. There it is, right there in front of me. So getting this Roach Warrants because, he knows he needs to be safe if some early pressure does arrive. Those Roaches are going to be very effective, but Spire going to be the main tech choice. And coinciding with that, he does throw down an additional gas, bringing him to a total of 6. Destiny getting the Overseer and getting the full scout, sees 4 more gateways on the way, 1 there, for a total of 6 gateways, so he knows there is going to be some pressure, and knows he's going to need those roaches, starts glial reconstitution right away, and spawns 7 roaches. Sentry Immortal force of WhiteRa moving its way across the map. You can see this Zelnaga watchtower that we talked about just a few moments ago, proving its usefulness. Destiny knows exactly where the army of WhiteRa is. Pylon goes down, Warp Prism as well for those proxy warp ends, and this is going to be a little bit difficult to push. You see the force fields go down so that he can focus down these spine crawlers first off. Destiny knows these Immortals are very powerful though, pulls drones immediately. But some good force fields continue to go down, and these spine crawlers will be focused first off. Additional units being warped in as well. 6 roaches, 5 spine crawlers on the way for Destiny. Will it be enough to hold? That is the question here. There are only 2 Immortals, but they are racking up the kills. 11 and 8 kills apiece so far. And WhiteRa pulls back, decides to go for the 3rd. He is pretty much out of sentry energy at this point, so he is vulnerable to surrounds, but Destiny does not have all that much to surround him with. Not a great deal of lings on the field, only those slower roaches. WhiteRa with that Warp Prism micro as well is going to try and get the Immortals up there, but no. Roaches were awaiting, so he is forced to drop onto the low ground and pulls back for the time being, though I assume this is only temporary. Probably going to go for a couple more warp ins and then continue to push. Using that beautiful Warp Prism micro, getting those Immortals in places where they are inaccessible. Taking down more roaches, more spine crawlers. WhiteRa really showing how he still loves to use those Warp Prisms. Needs to pay attention though, doesn't want to lose that Immortal. No, he will not. We'll get that Warp Prism out of there as well, despite the Queen's efforts to refuse him. Back in the Protoss space, we see some more Immortals on the way, but nothing too much. A Observer as well, perhaps worried about Roach Burrow completing sometime in the near future. Destiny in a bit of a panic mode now. He's not used his Spire at all, instead throwing down the Infestation Pit. Perhaps trying to get those Swarm Hosts to hold back this push. As I said earlier, holding positions is something that the Swarm Hosts do very, very well. And he lunges forward trying to take down an Immortal, but he can't do it. Force fields go down to protect those units. WhiteRa taking the supply lead up 115 to 87 now, and continuing to Warp Prism micro these Immortals up onto the high ground. Some more force fields do go down as more sentries were warped in. Oh, the Warp Prism, oh, very low, it does go down. Beautiful transfuses by Destiny on these spine crawlers, doing everything he can to keep them alive, but the Queens are out of energy. The spine crawler does fall. There are no roaches, or just about no roaches left on the field right now. 6 more about to spawn, and Destiny knows he cannot hang on. He is forced to GG, showing that despite being in this new Heart of the Swarm expansion, these old pushes, Sentry, Immortal, plus Stalkers, still very, very powerful. The one thing I perhaps would have liked to have seen would have been the Swarm Hosts out of Destiny. Those being as powerful as they are very effective at holding off pushes and defending positions. But that was Destiny versus WhiteRa and Heart of the Swarm Beta. Once again, my name is Jethro. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for watching.